Hey everybody, Robert with RC Archery. You're watching Tuesday's Tip of the Week number 127. In this week's video, we're going to cover some things that I wish I knew when I started that I know now that would have made my life a whole lot easier. We're going to go over some areas of tuning, shot execution, release usage, holding better on target, and just some different little areas like that in our main video. In the members video this week, we're actually going to go over some deep diving into setting up the bow, setting up our equipment to make our shots easier to replicate, our hold on target steadier, and just make life a lot easier when it comes to what we're doing with our bow. If you'd like to be a member of this channel, down in the description, there's a couple links that you can click on. It'll show you the different packages that are there, what you get with them, access to coaching, videos, all that kind of good stuff. So make sure you check that out. It's a good way to support this channel and be able to give back while we create our own little community here and just be able to help each other out as a whole. All right, the first thing that I want to go over is I really wish when I started everything out and was going through things and processing information that I didn't listen to as many people as I did when they said you had to do something a certain way. So let me give you an example for that. Back tension, release execution. When I was coming up, and you still hear this some now, although the stereotype of this is getting broken a lot better. But when I was coming up with shooting, one of the things that was said is you have to use back tension. You have to make your release fire with back tension. If you don't, you're a cheater, you're not doing it correctly. And they just was like such a negative stereotype and connotation around all of that unless you did it their way. And I can tell you from experience that that is not the best way for accuracy. Now, there are some things that I incorporate with this. So when it comes to back tension, what do I use that for? Well, I use back tension as a way to use the larger muscle groups in your back and in your core to support the bow. That is what I'm using to help hold the bow up on target, make it steadier. It allows me to relax my elbow and my shoulder joints a little bit better so that the movement can be more predictable, slower, calmer, and more compact. I also use back tension on my release hand side just to hold my arm back and generate a little overall tension rather in the system to steady my float. I actually will use this to make the float a little steadier. Now from there, everybody is different. And that's what I wish I knew a long time ago. You don't have to do it one certain way. Everybody's brain is actually going to be wired a little bit differently, and you need to find out what works best for you. So I'm going to tell you there's not one way to do this. There is a best way for you to do it. And honestly, the best way for you to do it may change from one year to the next, one day to the next, or whatever that may be. So you need to figure out what works best for you in the moment, in the setup. So try a lot of different things. You can just pull through the shot. That is not going to be most accurate for most people. However, if you are struggling with target panic, if you're somebody that just can't work through a release without it creating some anxiety where you're rolling it, pinching down on the trigger, whatever you're doing, just pulling will make you more accurate because it's helping you alleviate some of those areas of being jumpy. Now, if you are somebody that is pulling through their shot, our float is breaking down worse, and mentally you can handle being able to squeeze a trigger, roll a release, or do something, and that is better for you. Everyone's going to be different, so try it. Here's what I do personally. I get on target, I increase my push and pull a little bit to create some steadiness, and from there, I incorporate a little bit of pull, so a little bit of overall expansion and create some extra tension. But while I'm doing that, well, let me backtrack, not create extra tension, create extra distance. Because while I'm doing that, I'm actually, depending on the release, relaxing both fingers on a 2-finger thumb release or relaxing my index finger, kind of rolling that hinge release if I'm using a hinge release. So that works best for me. I incorporate a little bit of movement to take up slack for the extension of the joints, and it allows me to work through my shot process. But again, find what works best for you, and it doesn't just mean back tension and release execution. Try this for a lot of different aspects of archery, and don't be afraid to test things. Keep a notebook, keep the notes in your phone, and find out what was good for you, what was bad for you, all of that, and do what you need to do. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is tuning. This is a big one. This is, if you ask 10 people how they tune their bow, you're going to get 15 to 20 different answers. So here's my take on this. Don't feel like you have to do a single tuning method just because somebody else says you have to. And don't overcomplicate this. Honestly, tuning the bow is such a minuscule part of accuracy compared to working on yourself. And I mean, honestly, like I have shot a 300 Vegas round with this bow multiple times now, and I've shot it through paper and torque tuned it and creep tuned it, and that's it. That's it. I made sure my draw length and my loop length is perfect for me. I make sure that my stabilizers are set up, my loop height is set up, things that make it aim better and shoot better for me. That's what I'm doing with it. I'm still testing arrows. I don't even know if my arrow is the best way to go or not. So like, don't overcomplicate it. It's really not that important. But one thing that I will say and address is don't feel like you have to bare shaft tune just because people say you have to bare shaft tune. That was a big rabbit hole that I got down for a while when I was learning about tuning and reading things on forums and having people talk to me. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you and very blunt. The majority of you watching this video right now are not consistent enough to bare shaft tune and get anything out of it. You're just not. I mean, bare shaft tuning, if your grip pressure is a little bit different from one shot to the next, throws the bare shaft way off. If your face pressure on the string is different, if your hand pressure is different, if the direction your hand goes off your face and the pressure of the release in your fingers, if it's more this way, that way, this way, that way, all of that changes your bare shaft direction and throws off your bare shaft tune. So here's what I do, and I'm going to give you a very simplistic manner with it and let you see a full process, and then that way you kind of have a rundown of what I'm doing. I do shoot bare shafts through paper. I do this at 6 feet, so 2 yards, roughly 2 meters. I am doing this for knock indexing only, which means I want to see if the arrow is flexing out of the bow the same for every single arrow. It may be a bullet hole, it may not, and I'm not going to get wrapped up in that at the moment. First thing I'm doing is just finding by rotating the nock or rotating the arrow with it being marked where it's gonna, the tear coming through paper is the smallest, and then what direction it is. From there, I'm gonna do that for every single arrow and get them tearing the same way. So for example, if I'm getting, for me, this is pretty normal for me. A lot of you will be opposite of me, but for me, I probably get a little bit of a right tear, maybe a little bit of a high right tear, depending on the setup, when I shoot a bare shaft through paper normally. So for me, I'm looking for every arrow to have that same little bit of right tear. If I can't get a bullet hole, the same little right tear, high tear, whatever that may be, all across the board. All that is doing is ensuring that my arrows are flexing the same direction out of my bow every single shot and every single arrow. That's my starting point. From that point, I'm gonna fletch them the way that I have them marked and indicated on what needs to be top vane up. I'm gonna shoot the fletched arrow through paper, same distance. I don't do a whole lot of different with that. And then I'm gonna try to get a bullet hole. And I mean, big tears, I'm shifting cams. So big tear means like over an inch. Small tears, less than half an inch, less than an eighth, quarter inch, stuff like that, moving the rest. Just doing that to kind of get everything in line. I'm gonna try to get a bullet hole if possible. If it's not there and it's close, I'm good with that too. From that point, then I'm gonna go out on a target. I'm gonna creep tune the bow and torque tune the bow. I've talked about that in some other videos, so I'm not gonna get real in depth on that today. After I've done that, that makes sure that there's some forgiveness built into the system, takes some of the variances out as I tune. And then from there, I'm gonna do what I've always called French tuning. George Riles recently has started calling this the Dudley method. It's using 2 distances. For indoor setups, I use 20 yards and then like 30 or 40, depending on where my arrow can hit. If you don't know how to do this, we can talk about this in the comments. I can do other videos on this if you'd like to see specific videos for other methods. Probably need to do that, but we can break that down. Once I've done that, that ensures everything is coming out of the bow straight. When I've done that French tune method, whatever I'm doing with that. And then from there, I'm group tuning, which is just shooting games, seeing where they hit, seeing what my group sizes are. If I'm noticing any patterns, micro adjusting arrow rest left, right, up and down accordingly, trying to get the smallest groups and the most forgiveness as possible. And that's it. That's all I'm doing. Outside of obviously setting up my sight, my scope, and third axis, first, second, all that crap, right? So like, that's all I do on tuning a bow. I'm not shooting a bear shaft at 20 yards and trying to Robin Hood my fletched arrow. I'm not going to spend time on that. I probably could on a good day, but I also know that because of a issue with my elbow when I broke it as a kid, my grip pressure is not probably going to allow me to do that. So why bother with it? Again, I can shoot a 300 with this bow and have multiple times, and I haven't group tuned it. I haven't done a French tune. I literally shot this thing through paper and got it super close to a perfect bullet hole because I was just able to with this bow, and I've been running it. So I'm testing arrows and trying to see on a bigger scale of what I need for forgiveness when it comes to that. So like, you don't have to super tune a bow and do all this junk. Like, spend some time on you. Don't worry about your equipment. Thank you again for watching. If you're not subscribed, please do so. Make sure you put a thumbs up on this video or leave me a comment down below. That helps the algorithm. It helps get it out there in YouTube land and get to more people. And, you know, like I said, if you want to be a member, if you want to get some extra content, if you want to get some access to coaching, that information is below, or you can comment on this video and ask me. I'm glad to talk with you about that as well and help you out. Thank you all again for watching. I'll see you soon.